안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-hwa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment with a special focus on K-movies today, K-history, K-art, K-everything. Joining me today is our co-host Walter Lee. Hello, Walter. Happy Friday for a change.
Yes, I don't get to say it very often, but happy Friday, Sola, and happy Friday, everyone who is watching at home. I'm Walter Lee to co-host you and fill you in with the latest in K-entertainment news.
And we're also joined by Arirang's news features reporter Byun Ye-young. Welcome, Ye-young.
Hello, Ye-young.
Hello, Soa. Hello, Walter. It's great to be back. And a huge happy Friday to our viewers. I'm Byun Ye-young, a news features reporter here at Arirang News.
So, Ye-young, I heard that today you're going to introduce a very special person to our audience.
That's right, Soa. So actually, this year is the 80th year since Korea was finally liberated from Japanese occupation. And around that time, there were countless heroes who dedicated their lives to our country's independence. In Korea, we usually associate names like An Jung-gun with independence fighters, but I recently visited an exhibition that highlighted someone who might be a bit unknown to us, but nonetheless played an integral part in Korea's fight for independence.
Now, I am really curious. So who is this unsung hero that you're talking about?
Well, he was a leader, an educator, and a patriot who gave up everything he had and left it all behind for the independence movement. So let's take a closer look at his life and the legacy he left behind.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule. To commemorate, a special exhibition is underway to spotlight the life and legacy of Sang-ryong, one of the leaders of the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea. Titled Prime Minister Sang-ryong and Im Cheong-gak, the exhibit also celebrates 100 years since its inauguration. After Japan's annexation of Korea in 1910, Lee gave up his fortune and relocated to Manchuria, China, with his entire family to escape colonial oppression and lay the foundations for armed resistance.
He focused on unifying the fragmented independence movement groups and also established the Shinung Military Academy, where he aimed to provide proper historical education to the cadets by writing the Daedong history and teaching them accurate accounts of Korea's past.
But Lee's story cannot be told without Im Cheong-gak, his ancestral home in Andong City. Im Cheong-gak is a 500-year-old hanok, or traditional Korean house, and one of the largest preserved residences from the Joseon dynasty. The home also produced no fewer than 10 recognized independence activists, including Lee's brothers, son, grandchildren, nephews, and even his uncle.
Im Cheong-gak is a historic site that shows how the sacrifices made for the nation will ultimately be honored and protected by the nation itself. Though it was damaged due to its role in the independence movement, the government is now fully committed to restoring it.
Sang-ryong was not only an independence fighter, but also a literary figure. Through essays, letters, and manifestos, he chronicled Korea's suffering and yearning for independence. These handwritten records in the exhibition are being featured as works of calligraphy.
A gifted poet and writer, Lee's literary contributions have been brought to light by the brushwork of master calligrapher Lee Dong-ik.
This exhibition was created to give visitors a chance to engage with the Seokju Yugo, a collection of Sang-ryong's writings. It's especially meaningful because it also features calligraphy works that reflect his passion and sacrifice for Korea's independence.
The exhibition can be enjoyed for free at the Seoul Museum of History until August 31st.
Wow, what a great contributor Lee was for Korea's liberation.
Absolutely. So when I interviewed the great-great-grandson of Sang-ryong, I asked him to describe his ancestor in one sentence. He said Lee was someone who gave up a comfortable life when the nation was in crisis and set out on a harsh and uncertain path as an independence activist.
That's very fascinating and something that we should all be very thankful for. Now, could you tell us more about what kind of life that Lee Sang-ryong actually lived?
Of course. So Yi was actually born in 1858 into the prestigious Go-seong-Yi clan. And instead of living life of comfort and privilege, he chose to dive into the independence movement, even living in exile and enduring great hardships. So he's often seen as someone who truly embodied the concept of noblesse oblige, which is the idea that those in high positions have a moral responsibility to serve society.
Incredibly inspiring, and I think it's really a great opportunity that we get the chance to remember how thankful we should be through these kinds of exhibitions. But speaking of which, Ye-young, there are also other events happening across the country marking this anniversary, the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation.
I mean, that's right. This year is just full of so many commemorative events, not just in Seoul, but all around the nation. For example, the National Museum of Korea is doing an exhibition on independence movement heroes, which has been brought to life through AI technology. Also, there's a huge handmade taegukgi, or Korean flag, on the Kyobo building in Gwanghwamun. It was made more than 100 years ago by independence activist Nam Sang-rak and hand-embroidered by his wife Koo Hong-won. And because it was made before the standardization of the South Korean flag in 1949, the positions of 2 of the 4 trigrams, Kam and Lee, are different from the current version.
All right. Thank you very much for that informative and meaningful report today.
Thank you, Ye-young.
It was my pleasure.
Time now for our K-Enter News today with Walter Lee. Walter, I know you love IVE, and I guess that's our first story.
Yes, I made sure that was our first story today because girl group IVE have swept the Japanese major music charts. Now, according to Oricon Japan, on Thursday, IVE's 3rd Japanese album, called Be Alright, topped the latest Oricon weekly combined album chart. The album also claimed the #1 spot on the weekly album sales chart, making IVE a double chart topper on Oricon's weekly rankings. So IVE's momentum actually kept going, and on the Billboard Japan chart, where Be Alright also ranked #1 on the weekly top album sales chart. Now, that was on Wednesday. Now, with this, IVE have now scored 3 consecutive #1 albums on Billboard Japan. Now, finally, the group also dominated Tower Records' all-store album chart, coming in at, again, #1. Tower Records is one of Japan's largest and most influential record store chains.
What a great achievement for the girls.
Indeed.
And sticking to the Japanese theme,
yes,
we've got news on NCT Wish.
That's correct. So NCT Wish which is the Japanese subunit to NCT, are set to release their 3rd mini album, Color, scheduled for release on September 1st. Now, the album features 7 tracks in total. This new release showcases the group's energy and noticeably artistic growth. Now, ahead of the album's official drop, NCT Wish will pre-release the track Surf on August 12 at 6 p.m. Korea time on major music platforms. The song is a vibrant, feel-good summer track that highlights the group's signature bright and refreshing charm. Now, back in April, NCT Wish achieved their first million-seller status with their 2nd mini album, Wish, which sold over 1.33 million copies. The release also earned strong results on domestic and international music charts.
Well, we wish them the best in the
we do.
future. And finally, let's talk about a new teen romance movie that's set to come out soon.
Yes, indeed. So the Netflix original teen romance film Love Untangled, starring Gong Myung and Shin Eun-soo, is set to premiere on August 29th. Now, set in 1998, I remember those days, the story centers on a 19-year-old Park Se-ri, played by Shin Eun-soo. Park is in the midst of planning a mission to tame her biggest lifelong insecurity, which is her naturally frizzy hair. Now, she unexpectedly becomes entangled with a transfer student named Han Yoon-seok, played by Gong Myung. Now, capturing the charm and nostalgia of the late 1990s, oh, I remember that. Love Untangled, as mentioned before, it will be available worldwide on Netflix on August 29th, so don't miss that out.
Someone's getting nostalgic here.
Indeed.
Well, we're going to continue to talk about movies in a bit, but thanks, Walter. Stick around.
Will do.
And now let's move over to our AI anchor, Ari, for more on the culture front. Ari?
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. The Encyclopedia of Hallyu, the first comprehensive reference on Korean wave culture, is now available online. The National Folk Museum of Korea has unveiled it on the museum's official website and the Encyclopedia of Korean Folk Culture website. The database features over 450 entries and more than 900 images related to the Korean wave, spanning traditional heritage to modern pop culture. Noting that the Netflix hit, K-pop Demon Hunters, is reigniting global interest in K-culture, the museum said that fans can now explore the film's cultural elements through the new encyclopedia. This year's Royal Culture Festival will run from October 8th to 12th, offering performances, hands-on programs, and exhibitions at Seoul's major palaces. Held every spring and fall, the festival is designed to celebrate, preserve, and share the heritage of Korea's royal palaces and traditions. The Korea Heritage Agency is seeking volunteers for the festival, open to anyone born before 2006, who is proficient in Korean. Applications can be made online through August 20th. Are you a fan of tteokbokki? Then mark your calendar. The Korea Tteokbokki Festa returns on November 15th and 16th in Suncheon County, Jeollabuk-do Province, celebrated as the Mecca of the spicy rice cake sensation. Now in its second year, the festival will bring together top tteokbokki varieties, leading brands, and beloved snack shop favorites from across the country. Suncheon County says it hopes the event will set a new benchmark for food festivals nationwide. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
But I am always by your side. We are all the same, but hurt different. I heard when you cry, it rains in heaven. I won't let you fall down unless you're in my arms, only in my arms. Keep your heart with me, let me read it. All your tears remind me you're beautiful. It won't change how I think. I love the way you are, the way you are.
Yeah, I say now take it step by step. Stay on to the next zone and dream with no regrets. Hold on, never let go.
I wanna hold you, girl, I adore you. Just let me show you.
Let's go, heaven shine. Let's go.
We ain't ever looking back, no. Don't let any of our past chase us down, you know. We're more than that, we're made to think, to believe. We are all the same, but hurt different. I heard when you cry, it rains in heaven. I won't let you fall down unless you're
Summer is at its peak, as we just saw, and the summer movie season is in full swing as well. With that, we are seeing competition heating up on the big screen among Korean films of various genres, moods, and approaches. Which films are currently capturing the hearts of the audience? Let's have a chat with our movie expert, Jae So, professor and filmmaker at Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Nice to be back.
All right, let's start off with the movie that's been ranked first in the past 9 days straight. It's 좀비딸 in Korean, and My Daughter is a Zombie. So what is the film about and why are people loving it?
It's directed by 필감성, and it's based on a webtoon, as you mentioned, by Lee Chang. And it has some great stars in it. We have Cho Jung-seok, who's really great at both drama and comedy. And then the two cast members from Parasite, Lee Jung-eun and Jo Yo-jung, and the daughter is played by Chae Yuri. And basically, it's a story about, I don't know if you know the movie Warm Bodies, but it's a story that centers on a father-son, father-daughter relationship where the daughter is a zombie, and he's trying to basically hide her from the world, and basically Korea has an apocalypse happening. So right now, it's done really well in the box office, as you mentioned, #1. As of today, it's like 2.51 million tickets have sold and continue to be doing well. And I think it's really great because it's a summer movie. And again, it's a movie where we're not seeing, it's funny and it's about the apocalypse, but it's like trying to treat a zombie as a human being. It's basically the main, sort of thrust behind the movie.
Right. And I think pundits are saying this weekend it might even easily surpass 3 million viewers. But let's talk a little bit more about this movie, which is, as you said, based on a hit webtoon. And the film has been receiving praise for its resemblance to the original work, including the cat that's in the movie
and
there.
The cat's one of the greatest things about it. They were going to use CG and real cat, but the cat was so good.
Right.
The Cat Wranglers was able to do a lot of, and actually when I was watching in the theaters, when the cat came out, the audience really loved it. So, but I think the movie works because, it's instead of concentrating on, being chased by zombies like Train to Busan, things like that, it takes on sort of a more comic flair. Imagine if one of your family members becomes, a zombie, and you're trying to keep it a secret, and now it's illegal in Korea to, because of the virus and everything. So, they're trying to keep it a secret. So, there's a lot of humor from it, but at the same time, it has a social commentary about sort of, is it safe to do something that's against society? Because it involves a family member. So it has that kind of commentary behind it. And then it's the typical Korean thing called shimpa. And it's a whole emotional, sort of sentimental thing that is happening about where the audience feels a sense of emotional investment into the character. But it kind of drifts apart from the original webtoon as well. The ending's kind of different. And I think when I saw the webtoon, it's really cute, the cat especially. But in this one, because it's played by Cho Jung-seok and you have all these, great acting happening in it, it kind of took me away from what the webtoon was really about. And it was its own kind of creation. And I think it really, in a weird way, it worked with the audiences. Right now, as you know, we had elections, but the world is in flux with all the things that America's doing with tariffs and things like that. So I think this is a really good escape movie to go to see, and I think that's why a lot of people are flocking to see it.
So based on what you just mentioned, it's not necessarily because there's a big similarity to the original work that this is a success. So in some cases, it's because it is similar. In some cases, it's actually a success even if it's not similar.
Yeah, it works on its own, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I think all the characters kind of work in it. And the fact that we're watching something that's an apocalypse, and a lot of the genre of zombies about like people always being in the dark, but it's very humorous. And Cho Yo-jung comes out where basically it's his old flame and she hates zombies. So you added all that. The cat keeps coming up, and they even escape to an island to re-educate their daughter to live as a normal person. They put makeup. And there's a lot of elements that really worked in it.
I think Koreans really do well with zombie movies. If you think of Train to Busan, you think of The Kingdom, and you think of this movie now, I think we're doing really well. But let's move on to the web novel-based movie Omnisent Reader, okay? So over 1 million have watched it by now, and it's also seen success overseas. Now, this one was the highly anticipated one of the highly anticipated movies of the second half of the year. How is this work appealing to the audiences?
Unfortunately, it's actually like it's a novel-based thing that was made into a webtoons as well. So, but at the same time, the amount of anticipation for the storytelling and then what the actual movie came out to be is very different. It's directed by Kim Byung-woo and has An Yo-seop and Lee Min-ho, and it's the casting is really stellar. But at the same time, it's only managed to garner 1 million tickets at the box office. It's been out for a while now, And the reason for that is I went to see it, and I think I've read the novel, and I also followed the webtoon. So, in anticipation for all the stuff that's kind of fantastical, I think they delivered on the CG and things like that. But again, it's the reason I think it hasn't really succeeded is the depth of the characters is kind of very one-dimensional the way they did it. And I always thought it's a very long story, so it would have worked better as a sort of a streaming sort of series instead of one single movie. There's too much in it. And then basically, if you don't know the actual novel, there's a lot of game rules that are happening because it's sort of fantasy game where it becomes reality, right? So, they did really great stuff on Dongho Bridge. There's a lot of stuff that's happening, but at the same time, if you didn't know the story, like the sort of the actual original material, you might be confused as to what the rules of the game are. So I think in that sense, the audiences didn't really take to it that well.
Yeah, like you've said, there was a lot of disappointment with there. There were some praises, obviously, and you said they were in the visual department as well. Is there anything that you might have personally changed yourself, or something that you think that was probably missing from the movie?
Gosh, there's so much. But it's, I'm a director too, and I don't want to, basically criticize another director's work, but I think he had a lot of stuff to work with here. Again, it's a massive story, so in a way you had to pare it down to simplicity, and I think when you watch it, there's just too much happening all at once. So I think, if they kind of simplified the story a little bit and concentrated. The main theme of the novel is basically when you have this sort of disaster happening, it's about sort of mutual support. It's there's a lot of characters that have to kind of work together, and they have to, buy the coins, get the power, and they use it together to sort of defeat the bad guys or the powers that be. So, but I think, again, as a single standalone feature film, it's kind of hard to put this massive amount of material into this. The producer, Realized Pictures, did this, and they're with Along the God series, which is also a series, right? You have series of movies happening. So I think it was just too much of lots of fan base ready to see it. So they really didn't like the way the movie came out. And then the people watching it for the first time, you have to kind of explain what's going on in terms of just the game rules and sort of simplicity. And then I think if you built up the characters a little stronger. Right now there's too much happening, and you don't really have enough time for sort of going into each character, what they want and their emotionals.
Right, that's why maybe I felt a little overwhelmed when I saw the trailer at first, because it really felt like so much is happening. But let's move over to a movie that's not out yet. Pretty Crazy is the title, or 악마가 이사 왔다, which would actually mean the demon just moved in as our neighbors. But this is a mystery comedy film with a totally new script, so it's not based on something else like a novel or a webtoon. So what are your expectations on this one?
Well, this one is by director Lee Sung-gun, who did Exit with, we have girls, 소녀시대, so Yuna in it. And we also have An Boyeon, Son Dong-in, and Ju Yeon-young in it. So it's a comedy, and it's basically a story about a woman who lives beneath the main character, and she, from somewhere in 2 a.m. in the morning until a certain hour, turns into a devil. So it's kind of like the old Jekyll and Hyde. So she's a baker, very 착해, she's nice, during the day, and then suddenly at night she turns into a total devil. So in the trailer that I watched, there's a lot of comical stuff happening. And this movie was actually completed in 2022, but because of the pandemic, they kind of delayed it. So the director spent a lot of time sort of perfecting sort of all the CG in it and all the storytelling, the editing. And I think I'm really looking forward to it. Exit was a really good movie, so I think this one's going to be sort of in the vein of maybe going off of, My Daughter's a Zombie, so that kind of comedy is now really sort of popular with audiences.
So it's kind of going to be Yuna rivaling Jo Jung-seok, because those two were actually the main characters of Exit.
That's right.
But last but not least, very briefly, Professor Su, the movies that we just talked about, they are also targeted at the global audience. And actually, Omnisent Reader has been doing very well overseas as well. So what do you say? How's the potential of a being successful on the global stage with these recent productions?
Well, they really found that out with during the pandemic with Squid Game, and obviously people started to watch everything that was Korean, and one of the most popular genres is horror and then science fiction, and so far Korean material have really sort of resounded with international audiences. For example, Exuma did really well in Korea, but also it did fantastical in Vietnam. So not only in the West, but I think in Southeast Asia and in China, a lot of Korean genre movies are finding a home there. But I think with Train to Busan and with My Daughter's a Zombie, these are movies I think they're making it not just for the Korean audiences, but I think international audience. And I think first of all, it's closer to Asian people. We're Korean, we're Asian as well. So there is sort of a kinship to that. But at the same time, I think with Squid Game and Parasite, even American or European audiences find these kind of genres really easy to do. I think horror, zombie, sci-fi, these are genres that are just like globally always sort of in demand. So I think especially horror movies coming out from Southeast Asia now, like Malaysia and things like that, are really starting to hit the international markets. So I think it's really good news for filmmakers in Korea because, right now theatrically we're not doing that well. A lot of people aren't going to see movies in the theater, even though everywhere else they are. So I think just the fact that Koreans seem to be really crazy if everybody else is around the world, so maybe that'll really help people to bring them back to the theaters in Korea as well. So all these movies do have an international market for sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Su, for your insights today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Professor.
You too.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to see you back next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Have a great weekend, maybe at the movies or an exhibition or at the beach. We'll be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Korea time.